Hare Krishna. We're discussing the seventh chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and we were at the section of surrender, which spans from verses 13 to 25. And in our last class, we had discussed about the four kinds of people who don't surrender to Krishna, and the four kinds of people who surrender to Krishna. So today we will take the discussion forward. Today we'll be focusing on X 20 to 25, in which the Lord explains about those who surrender but not to Krishna, to other than Krishna. So let us start. Kamistastet hitakyana prapadyantanyadevata tam tam niyamamastaya prakritaya niyata swaya. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Purport: those who are freed from material contaminations surrender unto the Supreme Lord and engage in his devotional service. As long as the material contamination is not washed off, they are by nature non-devotees. But even those who have material desires and who resort to the Supreme Lord are not so much attracted by external nature. Because of approaching the right goal, they soon become free from all the material lust. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is recommended that whether one is a pure devotee and is free from all material desires, or is full of all material desires, or desires liberation from material contamination, he should in all cases surrender to Vasudeva and worship. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2, 3, 10, Akama Sarva Kama, Moksha Kama Udarade, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param. Less intelligent people who have lost their spiritual sense take shelter of demigods for immediate fulfillment of material desires. Generally, such people do not go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are in the lower modes of nature, ignorance and passion, and therefore worship various demigods. Following the rules and regulations of worship, they are satisfied. The worshippers of the demigods are motivated by small desires and do not know how to reach the supreme goal. But a devotee of the Supreme Lord is not misguided. Because in the Vedic literature, there are recommendations for worshipping different gods for different purposes. Example, a diseased man is recommended to worship the sun. Those who are not devotees of the Lord think that for certain purposes, demigods are better than Supreme Lord. But a pure devotee knows that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the master of all. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Ekaleshwara Krishna or Sabhabhritya. Only the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the master, and all others are servants. Therefore, a pure devotee never goes to the demigods for the satisfaction of its material needs. He depends on the Supreme Lord, and the pure devotee is satisfied with whatever he, the Supreme Lord, gives. Those whose intelligence is stolen by material desires surrender unto the demigods. So, did you not see the 7.20 verse on the screen? Huh? Verse was not visible. Oh, it didn't. It was not visible. I did not share screen. I did share screen. This
No, we are
one.
able
Not
to.
visible. Right? The immediate agitation which this verse raises, that one may say that one who is surrendering to the demigods, they're also dedicated, they're also worshipping. Why there is no element of love there? And why the Lord is speaking such an emphatic conclusion that all these people are less intelligent. Their intelligence is stolen by Maya. The understanding of this comes in the very intrinsic definitions of what is called as love. जय श्री शिवताई श्याम गौर श्याम भगवान की जय श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी सुदर्शन महाराज शील प्रभुपाद की जय. Love is not time bound. Love is not immediate. Now, the domains of love do not dictate and delineate uh, immediate reciprocation. That is not love. Business may go on the lines of uh, timely reciprocation, time balance. But love is not time. So, the nature of love is uh, that a person who has developed love for Krishna, or the person who has developed love for Krishna, or here we are talking about Krishna, Itara, that is expansions, the representatives of Krishna in the form of the demigods. Uh, but the nature of one who has developed love is that this such a person, his mind is not focused on instant results. First of all, in love, the mind is not focused on reciprocation. The mind is focused on service. That is the nature of love. That is the definition of love. Reciprocation means business, not love. Barter, business, we do negotiations, we make a deal. That's business. That is not love. So the mind is in love is not focused on reciprocation. Rather, the mind is focused on investment. When a mother is feeding the child, the mother is not thinking, okay, what this child will return to me. Will he return to me 1 lakh a month after 20 years? Or will he return to me 1 crore a month? What will he return to me? No mother thinks like that. She's not doing calculation that whether it is better to invest in this fellow or it is better to invest in share market. What will give me more returns? No mother, father are thinking like that. Obviously, in the material world, there is no absolute love. But in the relationship between parents and child, we can see some semblance of what could, some semblance or some glimpse of what can be pure love. So there is no question of instant gratification there. And secondly, it is not time bound. It's not instant at all. A mother doesn't say, I will serve you only for 7 years. I'll cook for you only for 7 years. Age 1 to 7. After that, you cook for me. Doesn't say. Okay, or maybe 10 years. After that, you cook for me. There's no there's no such so, so we see that although uh, although the demigods and their worshippers, the worshippers of the demigods, are seen to be dedicated, but because to the demigods, but because their mind is obsessed with the result, what am I going to get? And they're going to demigods because of instant results, Baba is saying. So they want instant results. And because the question is instant results and the mind is obsessed with the result, so it cannot be love. That is why the Lord is saying there can be positive feelings, but it cannot be love because their mind is obsessed with instant result and their mind is obsessed with so results and instant, both these factors. And so it cannot be love because it goes against the fabric and then the definition of love. How can love be time bound? How can love be equated and calculated? Calculations is not love. Equation is not love. So that is what the Lord is saying. There may be positive inclination, positive proclivity towards the demigod. That is fine, but it's not love. Like a person may be doing business, but a person may be very friendly with the person with whom he's doing business. One may be having a very trustworthy relationship with the person with whom one is doing business, but it is business. It's not love. Uh, so one may have a fixed client, say for example in business, and for 30 years one may be having a fixed client, and they may have a very nice relationship or trustworthy relationship. But the businessman who's having a trustworthy client from 30 years, his relationship with that client will not be as deep as his relationship with his wife. Family and client are still poles apart. It may be 30 years of relationship. One may say, no, 30 years client, but it will not be as intimate as the wife and children. Because in the family, then they don't see calculation, equation. They don't see. Obviously, Kali Yuga parenthood may involve many contaminations because that is the age. But the point is, uh, in general, we see that in that relationship, the nature of love, the person is not seeing calculation. Therefore, this cannot be love. The Lord is not saying this is all bogus. The Lord is saying there may be positive feelings. But then, what is the mechanism that these positive feelings are not converting into love? Because the Lord is explaining the science. Kames tastir hitat jnana. Because of the lust, the intelligence is stolen, and therefore one is having too much calculations. Because the intelligence is stolen, one is having too much calculations. That is the point. One is having too much calculations. So so why it is less intelligent? Because the living entity could have got much more simply by surrendering to God. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying akama sarva kama. So if one is not having any material desires, then one will serve Krishna happily with all one's capacity. And the Lord is also ready to serve when such a devotee, encourage such a devotee profusely. Madanyate na janati, naham tebhya managapi. The Lord is telling my devotees don't know anybody else than me. And because of that, I also don't know anybody else but them. Aham tebhya managapi. I don't know anyone else other than my devotees because they don't know anyone else other than me. That is a sweet reciprocation of love. So, say for example, so that is the difference actually. Say for example, if one is uh, so with what, so why it is called less intelligent? Because the living entity is entitled to oceanic mercy of the Lord, and this living entity is going forward to and is just reconciling with now one tumbler of mercy, you know, which won't even no? So one little tumbler of mercy where it could have got ocean of mercy. That's why it's called a lesson. The mind is stolen by the material lust. So therefore, one is not able to focus on the Supreme Lord. One is just obsessed with the idea of the result. But here Srila Prabhupada explains even if one has all material desires, but if one approaches Krishna because the goal is pure, still such a person get purified of the material desire. So therefore, akama sarva kama va is a recommended principle. People are not interested in that. So that's called a lesson. Uh, their intelligence was just like, say for example, if a person goes to a very rich industrialist, billionaire rich industrialist, he's saying, okay, please give me some donation. How much donation that rich no millionaire billionaire will give? How much donation? How much donation? Maybe he'll give 10,000, 20,000. Maybe he'll give 50,000. Enough? Maybe he'll give 1 lakh. That's all. But somebody goes to the billionaire and says, okay, I can do a job in your company. What salary you can give me? Then he may give 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs per annum. And he'll keep giving every year. There's much more. So this person has gone more closer. So he's doing a job in the same company and working for getting more and more profits for him. So the industry doesn't mind giving this fellow 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs salary per annum, of that range. But if somebody goes to this, but another boy is there, is a child is there, he goes to this industry and he says, okay, please adopt me. And so this billionaire adopts a small child. He says, oh, this is such a little child, you know, this thing shelter of me, it's a little boy, you know. So he says, okay, I'll adopt you, you know. So what this boy will get? What this boy will get? 1 lakh, 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs, what this boy will get? He'll get billions of dollars in due course of time. In due course of time. Billions of dollars are all his because billionaire has adopted him like that. The point is, Krishna is keen in adopting each one of us. So then what is more intelligence? To ask for some donation, immediate, hey, कुछ दे दो अभी तुरंत, है ना? I want immediate, give me something quickly, क्या दोगे, कितना दोगे, है ना? तो ठीक है 10,000 ले लो, ठीक है, हरे कृष्ण. So one gets very little. But one says, I am fully surrendered to you. है ना? I want to serve you. I want to, है ना? Love you and serve you. He says, oh, very nice. Let me adopt this fellow. He adopts, and one can get billions of dollars. जय श्री चैतन्य गौतम भगवान की जय. श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महाराज सुदर्शन महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की. So that is why it is less intelligent. हमने से अरे रेसिप्रोकेशन तो मिल रहा है, लेस इंटेलिजेंट बोल रहे हैं, क्विकली भी मिल रहा है, लेस इंटेलिजेंट बोल रहे हैं. या बिकॉज इतना क्विक में क्या हो गया? What has happened is one is getting very minimal. Where one was entitled to get an ocean, one is getting some drops. That's why the Lord is saying less intelligent. So actually, this is a statement coming from the Lord's heart, because the Lord wants to give so much, but this living entity is reconciliating with so less. The Lord is saying, "Kamestasthirita jnana." Yeah, the Lord is saying, "Kamestasthirita jnana." This is a statement coming from Lord's heart. The Lord is concerned about all these people, for the welfare of such people also. And therefore, the Lord is saying, "Hey, I was ready to give an ocean, this person is not taking." So that is why the Lord says, so this mood has to be understood. It's very beautiful to understand that yes, the Lord is not rejecting them, the Lord is not crushing them, the Lord is not making some blanket moves against them. The Lord is ready to facilitate them. In what way? He's ready to give oceanic mercy. They are not taking, so the Lord is feeling very heavy. Oh, the Lord is feeling very concerned, and He's feeling, oh, unfortunately, their mind has got stolen, their intelligence has got stolen by the material lust. If only they are able to overcome that lust, then they can surrender to such a beautiful extent. Let's read further. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhakta Shraddhaya architumicchati tasya tasyachalam shraddham tam eva vididhami aham. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. God has given, what? God, screen is visible? God has given intelligence or independence to everyone. Therefore, if a person desires to have material enjoyment and wants very seriously to have such facilities from the material demigods, Supreme Lord, The super soul in everyone's heart understands and gives facilities to such persons. As the Supreme Father of all the living entities, he does not interfere with their independence, but gives all facilities so that they can fulfill their material desires. Some may ask why the all powerful God gives facilities to the living entities for enjoying this material world, and so lets them fall into the trap of illusory energy. The answer is that if the Supreme Lord of the Super Soul does not give such facilities, then there is no meaning to independence. Therefore, he gives everyone full independence, whatever one likes. But his ultimate instruction is found in Bhagavad Gita. One should give up all other engagements and fully surrender unto him. That will make man happy. Both the living entity and the demigods are subordinate to the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the living entity cannot worship the demigod by his own desire. Nor can the demigod bestow any benediction for without the supreme will. As it is said, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, persons who are distressed in the material world go to the demigods as they are advised in the Vedic literature. Person wanting some particular theme may worship such and such a demigod. For example, a diseased person is recommended to worship the sun god. So, a person wanting education may worship the goddess of learning, Saraswati, and a person wanting a beautiful wife may worship the goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. In this way, there are recommendations in the Shastra, Vedic scriptures, different modes of worship for different demigods. And because a particular living entity wants to enjoy a particular material facility, the Lord inspires him with a strong desire to achieve that benediction from that particular demigod. And so he successfully receives the benediction. The particular mode of the devotional attitude of the living entity towards a particular type of demigod is also arranged by the Supreme God. The demigods cannot infuse the living entity with such an affinity. But because he is the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul, who is present in the hearts of all living entities, Krishna gives impetus to man to worship certain demigods. The demigods are actually different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they have no independence. In the Vedic literature, it is said that the Supreme Personality of God, as Super Soul, is also present within the heart of the demigod. Therefore, he arranges through the demigod to fulfill the desire of the living entity. But both the demigod and the living entity are dependent on the supreme will. They are not independent. The living entity can only be satisfied by the supreme will. Generally, we see when materially this principle works. A person can only be satisfied by somebody very close to him who loves him. Just like, say, for example, a husband needs the husband. Husband can be very nicely satisfied by his wife only. She only knows what to cook, what taste he likes or he doesn't like, how much he takes, what is this, what flavors to give him, what will make him happy, what will make him ecstatic. So she knows. So when she is cooking the husband, then that is the best because he knows exactly what The wife knows, and she knows exactly what will be good for his health also, like that. So sometimes I've seen many devotees say that, okay, then they had a lot of health problems. But then their wife, she was, she understood the health problems. And they implemented, they fed him the right thing and all the, desi, techniques and all that. So the person's, the devotee's health became, workable, because, you know, yeah, I heard this from many devotees. So you see why this is the nature of love, because when a person is in, the nature of love is the person is loving, and the person is very, very careful about the needs, very much alert to the needs of the person. Now, the living entity's needs can be satisfied only by the God. So, therefore, when the living entity goes to the demigods, it becomes a risky situation, because the demigods actually cannot satisfy. Because two things are there: neither the worshippers are loving the demigods, nor the demigods have that kind of feeling or that extent of feeling which the parents can have, or which the Supreme Lord can have. It's like that. Just like a person goes to the hostel, a hostel warden cannot offer that kind of care what a father mother can offer. So, can a hostel warden, can a hostel warden replace a mother? No. We also had 40 tribal children in our Gurukul when we had. So, we cannot replace their mothers. So we were teachers. We cannot say we became parents. Okay, there is some element of some parental care and concern in a teacher, especially when there is a Gurukul. We cannot say that we are as good as the parents, because you see, one child, his mother will spend the whole day for that child. We were foaming in the mouth to spend half an hour with a child in fortnight. Personally, you know that is. So we were struggling to cook a basic scheduled menu. That only was good enough, super engaging struggle. What to say of tastes of that each and every child? What taste? What feelings? What no? Hare Krishna. Very difficult, impossible actually. So that's the difference. So the demigods are in charge of the universal affairs. That means they are like hostel warden. Krishna is the father and mother. That's the difference. So therefore, the hostel warden now has come, and the living in it doesn't want to go to father and mother. And he's saying, the hostel warden, you're my father, you're my mother. So this is a very difficult proposition, even for the demigods. How are they going to satisfy? Because that kind of love and care only the Supreme Lord can give. So therefore, it is only the Supreme Lord who empowers both of them to be connected to each other. That becomes a very so because the real person is the supreme lord, he only knows. Just like we hear, okay, Einstein one time, he had gone for a seminar, so his secretary or his servant or whoever was it, so because he had attended so many of his same seminar, that that secretary was able to also speak about it. So the secretary spoke about it because he had learned so much. Basically, Einstein empowered him or her, whatever, so much that this fellow, gave a class. So the science talk and all that, all scientists are sitting and all that, everything went bombastic. And Einstein himself was sitting like a secretary, in the audience. That was a very funny, episode. So everything is going bombastic, everything, all bombastic and everything like that. And then the class is over, everybody's clapping, and all. After the clapping ended, the people did not go. Hello? Hello? People said, question. Hello? And some fellow asked a question. Now this was a checkmate situation. How this fellow is going to, no? No. So how this fellow is going to do it, So this is the point. The demigod is like a secretary, and Krishna is like the Einstein, like that. So Krishna is the progenitor of everything. All flavors, all everything is, all visions are given by the Supreme Lord. And now the secretary has been appointed and trained, and therefore the secretary is, the same thing happens to us. We go for device. And we are giving bombastic presentation. Einstein said this, and Huxley said this, and Newton said this, but then this person says, but according to quantum gravity, and then you say, ये क्या पूछ रहा है, and then you say, okay, good question, I'll ask my seniors and get back to you, good question, or sometimes some devotees are too smart, they don't say like this also, they say that, oh, it's such a good question, but it will require 1 hour explanation. Let's schedule it, to give full justice to it. We'll discuss it fully with all the parameters, at the scheduled time. We'll schedule a time, But thank you for the question. It's such a beautiful question. It will require 1 hour explanation, Yeah. And then this devotee will go back and ask all devotees, Chaitanya Champu, here, there, everywhere, and 5 hours he'll prepare, and then he'll come and say, yeah, now let me give the answer. Fart is making flow charts, making diagrams and all that. And people are saying, what a knowledge, Yo yam yam tarum bhakta, So all that profiles, our profile is also like that. We are messengers, So uh, so many times even our devotees, they are very happy when they are made into counselor. Oh, my counselees, my candies, my candies, please come, all my candies, Now the candy is in a big problem, No, so one is feeling very nice. Selfie one is created. Okay, this is my praja. When I am taking yatra in Mayapur, 10,000 people following me. They are they are all my candies. Like that. Now candy is in a problem. Now candy is in a problem. So candy has so different kinds of problems people have. Suppose different kinds of problem people has. Suppose somebody's wife has ditched him. Ran away. It's a big problem. Like that. So Candy is coming to Guru now, He's saying, oh, counselor, you are my almost my Guru, For all practical purpose. So you please solve the problem, है ना? या तो उसको वापस ले आओ या किसी और को ले आओ, है ना? Now the counselor is a big problem. अभी मैं ये कैसे करूँ, है ना? The counselor is saying, no. Take shelter of Krishna. Take shelter of Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna, So when problem comes, chant Hare Krishna, When glorification comes, I am the Acharya, You see, this is yo yam yam tarum bhakta, the demigod, so everything is facilitated by the Supreme Lord. We have to understand. So therefore, we have to understand. Ah, Hare Krishna. So the faith is given by the Supreme Lord. The empowerment is given by the Supreme. Just like in that Einstein story, the secretary was smart enough. He said, "Oh, such a simple question, even my secretary can answer." The secretary was called on stage. So, in the Lord's case, the Lord only proactively comes to rescue his devotee, because the demigods, and that's a proper saying, the demigods and the demigod worshippers both are subservient to the subordinate to the Supreme Lord. It is the Supreme Lord who is all powerful, none of them. So, therefore, the Lord only is uh, instilling faith, you know, instilling faith. Uh, so, the Lord only is instilling faith, you know, uh, in the demigod worshippers' hearts about about the demigods, and the Lord only is empowering the demigods to help the living entity. So in this way, the Lord is so the demigods are like the different hands of the Lord. So that faith is given by the Supreme. So that love and care and concern is there with the Supreme. So just like sometimes a mother, the mother is working or something we see, and the mother keeps nurse, like sometimes for caring for the child, and the mother is dictating the nurse, she's given the full schedule, this time milk should be given, this time this should be given, this time this meal should be given, and the mother is on the video call, she's every half an hour she's on a video call, so she's checking, whether the child is fed or not, everything, or she's watching a CCTV camera while she's working, in the home and all that. So that is the point. So that love is the supreme law. The demigod is like the nurse, the caretaker. The actual, but who is ordaining what should be given to us? That is the supreme Lord. Let's see text 22. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas Tasya Aradhanam Ihate Labate Cha Tata Kaman Mayeva Vihitan Hita. And out of such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. The demigods cannot award benedictions to their devotees without the permission of the Supreme Lord. The living entity may forget that everything is a property of the Supreme Lord, but the demigods do not forget. So the worship of the demigods and the achievement of the desired results are due not to the demigods but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by arrangement. The less intelligent living entity does not know this, and therefore he foolishly goes to the demigods for some benefit. But the pure devotee, when in need of something, prays only to the Supreme Lord. Asking for material benefit, however, is not a sign of pure devotee. A living entity goes to the demigods usually because he is mad to fulfill his lust. This happens when something undue is desired by the living entity and the Lord himself does not fulfill the desire. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that one who worships the Supreme Lord and at the same time desires material enjoyment is contradictory in his desires. Devotional service to the Supreme Lord and the worship of a demigod cannot be on the same platform, because worship of a demigod is material, devotional service to the Supreme Lord is completely spiritual. For the living entity who desires to return to Godhead, material desires are impediments. A pure devotee of the Lord is therefore not awarded the material benefits desired by less intelligent living entities, who therefore prefer to worship the demigods of the material world rather than engage in the devotional service of the Lord. What is the difference? Here also Prabhupada is highlighting this difference, you see. The worship of the demigods is material, the worship of the Supreme Lord is not material, it's spiritual. Now, we can also understand this by another example. Uh, So some devotees, they go to various senior devotees, and they will ask questions. So some question, so sometimes they are doing something, quoting one senior devotee has told, like that. Sometimes they are doing something, quoting another senior devotee has told. So they don't want to take guidance from one person. So they're taking guidance from 10 people, like that. So what is exactly happening? So now, so when one is taking guidance from one person, basically, then one has to do what that one person tells him to do. No? But when one keeps 10 people, then one was only taking a stamp and then checking who will give me that stamp. Like sometimes, so that means what? Raishampu explains this, that these devotees, what they are doing is that going to multiple people, they don't want to follow anyone. They just want to extract a yes from someone or the other. So for something, they extract a yes from someone. For something, they extract a yes from somebody else. For something, they extract a yes from somebody else. So it's not at all following. Whereas an obedient and sincere devotee who is following a counselor or following a guide, a teacher, such a devotee will want to say, okay, Prabhuji, you please tell me what I should do. You please tell me, I am ready to do what you tell me to do. You know? But these devotees are not like that. They want what? They want a yes. And then, no, if I go to this person, he knows my some things, he will not say yes. Let me go to a distant person, doesn't know me much. I can say this and I can say, what do you say, Prabhuji? Is this a good idea to do this? Will it be proper service? Yeah, this proper service, do it, And one, so that Prabhu said, and therefore I am doing this. This is my instruction which is given to him given to me by him. No, that's not instruction. You simply, manipulated and extracted a yes, like that. Like, that's the point. So sometimes some devotees ask the same question to 10 Maharajas. Whichever Maharaj gives an answer which is close to one's own self gratification, one just says, oh, that Maharaj said he gave me an instruction, I'm following. So like that. So this is, you see, this is material mentality. Demigod worshippers have this kind of mentality. They're not actually worshipping. They're not actually wanting to follow. They just want, hey, this benefit from whom I can derive. From this fellow, that fellow. They're not interested in the fellow. Only interested in the benefit. So that's why it's material. You see such a classic difference. Uh, so although both may be seen, asking, taking guidance, but one wants to just get a stamp for what he or she wants to do, and the person wants to mold himself or herself and follow. That is the point. Another person wants to follow. So that is the point. The other person wants to follow. And one simply wants to get a stamp. But the Lord is so compassionate, the Lord is so broad hearted, the Lord is so tolerant that still the Lord is supplying the results. Said, okay, no problem. Take the results through the demigods. The Lord is giving the results also. The Lord is fulfilling the material desires also. That is Krishna's compassion. Krishna, therefore, is a very, very loving God. You see how loving. There is no tinge of anger or envy or outrage in the Supreme Lord. Lord is not saying, hey, you did not vote for me, I will destroy you now. The Lord didn't say like that. No. Okay, next verse, 723. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavati alpamedhasam devan deva yajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Perfect. Some commentators in the Bhagavad Gita say that one who worships the demigod can reach the supreme God. But here it is clearly stated that the worshippers of the demigods go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated, just as a worshipper of the sun achieves the sun. or a worshipper of a demigod of the moon achieves the moon. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship a demigod like Indra, he will attain that particular god's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod is worshipped, will reach the supreme personality of God. That is denied here. For it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to the different planets in the material world, but the devotee of the Supreme Lord goes directly to the supreme planet of the personality of God. Here the point may be raised that if the demigods are different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord, then the same end should be achieved by worshipping them. However, worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent because they do not know to what part of the body food must be supplied. Some of them are so foolish that they claim that there are many parts and many ways to supply food. This is not very sanguine. Can anyone supply food to the body through the ears or the eyes? They do not know that these demigods are different parts of the universal body of the Supreme. And in their ignorance, they believe that each and every demigod is a separate god and a competitor of the Supreme Lord. So they believe each and every demigod is a separate god, is a competitor of the Supreme Lord. Not only are the demigods parts of the Supreme Lord, but the ordinary living entities are also. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the Brahmanas are the head of the Supreme Lord, Kshatriyas are his arms, the Vaishyas are his waist, and the Shudras are his legs, and all serve different functions. Regardless of the situation, if one knows that both the demigods and he himself are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, his knowledge is perfect. But if he does not understand this, he achieves different planets where the demigods resides. This is not the same destination the devotee reaches. The results achieved by the demigod's benedictions are perishable because within this material world, the planets, the demigods, their worshippers are all perishable. Therefore, it is clearly stated in this verse that all the results achieved by worshipping the demigods are perishable, and therefore such worship is performed by the less intelligent living entity. Because the pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service of the Supreme Lord achieves eternal blissful existence that is full of knowledge, his achievements and those of the common worshipper of the demigods are different. The Supreme Lord is unlimited, his favor is unlimited, his mercy is unlimited. Therefore, the mercy of the Supreme Lord upon his pure devotees is unlimited. Hare Krishna. So the Lord is explaining the differentiation. Uh, the Lord is explaining the differentiation. Although the demigods belong to the team of the Supreme Lord, but worshipping the demigods is not the same as worshipping the Supreme. Just like in India now there are 23, 25 IITs. Some number is there, 22, 23 IITs. So now there are 22, 23 IITs. So if one gets admission in a particular IIT, he can only go to that IIT, not another IIT. So suppose uh, there is uh, suppose there is IIT Tirupati. So one has got admission in IIT Tirupati. One cannot go and sit in IIT Bombay classes. And then, no, 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 that is IIT, this IIT. I'll sit in Bombay classes. So one cannot sit in IIT Bombay class. Tirupati means one has to go to Tirupati. Although both are IIT, the same team, but Tirupati is not the same as Bombay. IIT Tirupati is not in QS World Ranking. Maybe way down, somewhere in 800,000, or I don't know whether it has got a QS ranking also or not. IIT Bombay is in 150 or 200 ranking. Probably I think around 150 or something ranking, world ranking. So one may say both are IIT. Why there is difference? So this is the point. So both they are all the same team of facilitation, but there are different levels of facilitation. The person who is studying the same branch in IIT Tirupati and a person who is studying the same branch in IIT Bombay will not get the same package. Although all 23 are IITs. There is gradation. So the equality is only in terms of the same team of facilitation. The demigods and the Lord are the same teams of facilitation, and that team facilitates various gradations of accommodation. The degree one has. So yes, among the demigods also there are gradations. That means that's very true, because that is why there are demigods. That is why it is said there is worship in the mode of ignorance, the mode of passion, mode of goodness. So there are various demigods who facilitate devotees in the mode of ignorance and mode of passion and mode of goodness. So even demigods also offer, so that is their whole hierarchy of gradations is being offered according to the mentality of the living entity. But one is not equivalent to the other. When Prabhupada is explaining the reason why, and Prabhupada is saying this is why it is Alpamedasam. Such people are thinking everything is okay, everything is same. No, everything is not the same. You know, everything is not the same. So it's like so many IITs, but now one will get where one has got admission, one is specifically attached to that. So this is Alpamedhasam because the demigod worshippers were probably saying that they don't see demigods as separate from the demigods as Krishna's body or different parts of Krishna's body. They see demigods as Krishna's competitor, equivalent to Krishna. So therefore, that is not equivalent. So their move or connection is not equivalent to bhakti. But somebody who sees the demigods And therefore, in the Shastras, we can see, so somebody who sees demigods and part and parcel of parts of Krishna's body, and such a person is offering worship to the demigods, thinking that I am worshipping or massaging or serving different parts of the body of the Lord. Such a person makes spiritual advancement. What is the proof? Bharat Maharaj. Scanto Bhagavatam mentions so powerfully that how Bharat Maharaj, as a ruler of the whole world, Bharat Maharaj used to perform Agnihotra, Chaturhotra, Yajnas, which are destined to various demigods. In the heart, his feeling was that these demigods are all different limbs of the body of the Supreme Lord. So I am actually through them, I'm actually offering my oblations, my obeisances, my worship, my sacrifice to the Supreme Lord. And he was thinking like this, and such by performing such kinds of Agnihotra, Chaturhotras, and thinking like this, he became so spiritually advanced. He practically came to the platform of Bhava. So much so that he could leave his kingdom without even turning back, just like a person leaves stool and doesn't look back to see what it was. Bharat Maharaj. So the demigod worshippers are Alpamedas. They do not see the demigods as part and parcel of Krishna's body. That's the idea. That's the point which is being spoken here. Let's read further. Avyaktam yaktimappannam manyante mama buddhaya param bhavamajananto mamavyayam anuttamam. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before, and now have assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. Those who are worshippers of the demigods have been described as less intelligent persons. And here the impersonal is similarly described. Lord Krishna in his personal form is speaking before Arjuna, and still due to ignorance, impersonalists argue that the Supreme Lord ultimately has no form. Even Acharya, a great devotee of the Lord in the disciplic succession of Ramanujacharya, has written a very appropriate verse in this connection. He says, Shilarupam charite parama prakrishte satvena satvikataya prabhalescha shastri prakhyatadaiva paramarthavidam matescha naivasura prakritaya prabhavanti bodhum. My dear Lord, devotees like Vyasadeva and Narada know you to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By understanding the different Vedic literatures, one can come to know your characteristics, your form, and your activities. And one can thus understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, the demons, they are unable to understand you. However, experts such non-devotees may be in discussing Vedanta and the Upanishads and the other Vedic literatures. It is not possible for them to understand the personality of God at Stotraratnam. This is from Stotraratnam. The non-devotees, however expert they may be in Vedanta, they cannot understand the Supreme Lord. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the personality of Godhead cannot be understood simply by study of the Vedanta literature. Only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord can the personality of the Supreme be known. Therefore, in this verse, it is clearly stated that not only are the worshippers of the demigods less intelligent, but those non-devotees who are engaged in Vedanta and speculation on the Vedic literature without any tinge of true Krishna consciousness are also less intelligent. And for them, it is not possible to understand God's personal nature. Persons who are under the impression that the absolute truth is impersonal are described as abuddhaya, which means those who do not know the ultimate feature of the absolute truth. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the supreme realization begins from the impersonal Brahman and then rises to the localized supersoul. But the ultimate word in the absolute truth is the personality of Godhead. Modern impersonalists are still less intelligent, for they do not even follow their great predecessor, Shankaracharya, who has specifically stated that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Impersonalists, therefore, are not knowing the supreme truth. Think Krishna to be only the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, or a prince or a powerful living entity. This is condemned in Bhagavad Gita 9:11. Avajananti mamuda manushim tanumashata. Only the fools regard me as an ordinary person. The fact is that no one can understand Krishna without rendering service and without developing Krishna consciousness. The Bhagavatam 10:14-29 confirms this. Tathapi te deva palam pujadvaya prasadaleshanugrihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya eko pichiram vichinma. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you. Even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years, one cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna or his form, quality, or name simply by mental speculation or by discussing the Vedic literature. One must understand him by devotional service. When one is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, beginning with chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, then only can one understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Non-devotee impersonalists think that Krishna has a body made of this material nature, and that all his activities, his form, and everything are Maya. These impersonalists are known as Mayavadis. They do not know the ultimate truth. The 20th verse clearly states, those who are blinded by lusty desires surrender unto the different demigods. It is accepted that besides the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are demigods who have the different planets, and the Lord also has a planet. As stated in the 23rd verse, Devan Devayajo Yanti Madbhakta Yanti Mamapi. The worshippers of the demigods go to the different planets of the demigods, and those who are devotees of Lord Krishna go to the Krishna Loka planet. Although this is clearly stated, the foolish impersonalists still maintain that the Lord is formless, and these forms are impositions. From the study of the Gita, does it appear that the demigods and their abodes are From the study of the Gita, does it appear that the demigods and their abodes are impersonal? Clearly, neither the demigod nor Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are impersonal. They are all persons. And Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has his own planet, and the demigods are theirs. Therefore, the monistic contention that the ultimate truth is formless and that form is imposed does not hold true. It is clearly stated here that it is not imposed. From the Bhagavad Gita, we can clearly understand the forms of the demigods and the forms of the Spirit Supreme Lord are simultaneously existing, and that Lord Krishna is Satchidananda, eternal, blissful knowledge. The Vedic literature confirms that the Supreme Absolute Truth is knowledgeable and blissful pleasure. Vignanam Anandam Brahma, and he is a reservoir of unlimited auspicious qualities. Ananta Kalyana Gunatmako Sav. And in the Gita, the Lord says that although he is Aja, unborn, he still appears. These are the facts that we should understand from the Bhagavad Gita. We cannot understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be impersonal. The imposition theory of the impersonalist monists is false as far as the statements of the Gita are concerned. It is clearly stated here in the Supreme Absolute Truth as both form and personality. Yes. Srila Prabhupada explains here that the less intelligent proposition or the less intelligent conclusion which is made about the demigod worshippers is true for the impersonalists also. So the impersonalists are this impersonalist, see, accepting one who accepts the secondary principle without accepting the essence. Actually, such a person is a cheater. You know? Just like one who accepts the dress of a doctor, you know, he's taking a stethoscope, you know, he's taking a BP machine, you know, he's taking a coat, you know, he's wearing, you know, and accept the dress, but he has not accepted the knowledge in an MBBS college. So therefore, he's not got a degree. So just accept the dress. That is secondary principle. One may say, no, I'm wearing dress of a doctor. You know? I also purchase stethoscope. You know, I can do tuck 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 tuck. You know, and I can feel something is happening. 1, 2, 3. You know, I can also do BP again. Put the pad and I can do pumping. Pop pop pop. You know, like that. One may say like that. So I have learned that. You know, but so one who learned the secondary is caught up, but the primary, the essence is not caught up. He's not learned to take admission in MBBS, not pass the exams of the MBBS. Such a person is what? Fake, cheater. The impersonal is a cheater. Therefore, Mayavadi, Krishna Paradi. Mayavadi, Krishna Paradi. So somebody says, I have read books of law. Now I can practice law. No, you cannot practice law by reading the books of the law. Book is not important. Apprenticeship more important. Connection, admission is more important. The one who is not taking the primary and taking the secondary, so it's a cheater. It's illegal. Is it not? Can somebody practice medicine without being an MBBS? Illegal. No? Mama clinic, somebody can practice? No. Illegal. No? So, like that. In KDP on the road, we have one new clinic which is opened, Mama Clinic, So, so, so without MBBS, one actually cannot practice, So it's illegal, like that. So uh, uh, in a similar way, these impersonalists, they're illegal. Why they are illegal Krishna Paradis? Because why they are Aparadis? Because they are reading the Vedanta, but they are not accepting Krishna. Vedanta is the dress of the Supreme Lord. Reading the Vedas, they are accepting the secondary, not accepting the essence of it. Somebody says Bhagavad Gita is a very nice book, but I don't accept Krishna. Then what are you accepting then? It's cheating, no? Somebody says I have full faith in Gita, but I don't chant Hare Krishna. But I don't chant any mantra. I only chant money. And what is the use of read Bhagavad Gita? What read? Is it not? That's the point. So this is impersonalists, dangerous fellows. So they are actually cheaters, fake, not just fake, cheaters. No? Not just fake, cheaters. So that is why the Acharya is saying, simply by knowledge of the Vedas, one cannot understand. One has to practice with it. Then only one can understand. Krishna. Read further. Aham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita toyam nabhijanati lokamamajam avyayam. I am never manifest to the foolish and the unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am the unborn and the infallible. Purpose. It may be argued that then, since Krishna was visible to everyone when he was present on this earth, how can it be said that he is not manifest to everyone? But actually, everyone was not manifest. He was not manifest to everyone, actually. Oh. When Krishna was present, there were only few people who could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of God. In the absence of the Kurus, when Shishupal spoke against Krishna's being elected president of the assembly, Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be the supreme god. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was the supreme, but not everyone. So he was not revealed to the non-devotees and the common man. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that but for his pure devotees, all men consider him to be like themselves. He was manifest only to his devotees as a reservoir of all pleasure, but to others, to the unintelligent non-devotees, he was covered by his internal potency. In the prayers of Kunti in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.19, it is said that the Lord is covered by the curtain of Yogamaya. Thus, ordinary people cannot understand. The Yogamaya curtain is also confirmed in Upanishad Mantra 15, in which the devotee prays. Hiranmayena patren satyasthaस्यापि hitam mukham tattvam pushan pavranu satyadharmaya drishyate. My Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you will also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the Yogamaya. The Brahmajyoti is the covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your Satchidananda Vigraha, your eternal form of bliss and knowledge. Supreme Personality of Godhead in its transcendental form of bliss and knowledge is covered by the internal potency of the Brahmajyoti. And the less intelligent person cannot see the Supreme on this account. Also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a prayer by Brahmaji, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potency and pastimes in this world? You are always expanding your internal potency, and therefore no one can understand you. Learned scientists and learned scholars can also examine the atomic constitution of the material world or even the planets, but still they are unable to calculate your energy and potency. Although you are present before them, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is not only unborn but also av- avyaya, inexhaustible. His eternal form is bliss and knowledge, and his energies are inexhaustible. We have this experience that many people we share the philosophy, the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, and we realize that they are just not able to understand. Same thing might have been spoken to us, and it would have made so much meaning to us and practically diverted or transformed our life journey towards the spiritual emancipation now. But many times we may speak about philosophy to others, and these people may not just understand anything. This is the meaning of Naham Prakasha service. That they have just not gathered sufficient sukriti that this knowledge which we are sharing reveals in their hearts. So the Lord uh, reserves the right of not being exposed. So some people just cannot understand, and and all of a sudden, years later, they may understand. Oh, so they were just not having the right sukriti, and the sukriti is a blessing of the Lord. So therefore, a devotee has to be extremely humble and never be proud, because Prabhupada is saying even the great scientists, demigod, they cannot understand Krishna. So one who becomes proud, such a person will not be able to understand Krishna. So you have to be extremely humble, dependent on the Supreme Lord, praying to the Supreme Lord, just like Prabhupada is quoting Ishopanishad 15, Hiranmayena Patrena. Oh Lord, please remove this covering. Kunti Devi Maharani is saying, the covering of this illusory curtain, the deluding energy of the material, remove this covering so that I can see face to face. So that I can see you face to face. And that should be a devotee's prayer always, and petition to the Supreme Lord. Please give me the eyes by which I can see. Please give me the intelligence by which I can hold you in my existence. Stop here for today. ग्रंथराज भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. So next week we are going to do the section 26 to 30, 7th chapter. Hey, Bol.